Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my new video on the top 5 things that every single Garen player needs to know. Now, the reason I wanted to put out this video is because he is one of my recommended champions for new players to get into in low elos, just to kind of learn the game and have a really simple kit. So let's get into it. Garen's biggest weakness, and let's just put it this way, Garen's biggest weakness is getting kited out and just not being able to put out the damage that he wants to. So my first tip for Garen players is looking into, first of all, items that are going to help you chase people down, like the base movement speed of Triforce, or if you want to go Black Cleaver a little bit more defensive, something like a Dead Man's Plate, a Randuin's that's going to give you an AoE slow, or if you're snowballing really well, you want to grab something like Yomu. So make sure that you're going a high movement speed build just so you can chase people down, as well as using your the tenacity you get from your W when a slow is being applied or when burst is being applied on you is another great way, and also getting tenacity from the legend rune slot is also another great way to use that. And also early boots are actually sometimes going to be more damage than buying something like a longsword, because it's going to enable you to be on top of them longer with your E when you're chasing them down. So really make sure to try and be one of the fastest people on the Rift. This is really going to be the best way to play Garen, because again, you just want to, he has so many strengths, he does a lot of damage, he's really tanky. His biggest weakness is just being kited out, so to look to fill in that weakness with different runes, different items, and really supplement his base kit in the most effective way. And that will wrap up number 1. Alright, and jumping into number 2. Now this is probably not, you're not going to get much out of this tip if you've already played a lot of Garen, but he is a champion I like to recommend to low elo players. I think this is actually a really important point. First up, let's just talk about just the basics of the kit. For his Q, he just it's an auto attack reset where he's going to do more damage on his next ability. So to maximize your damage, when you're running up to someone, you want to auto into Q, and you're going to get more damage because it's going to be an auto attack reset. And another cancel we can do is when you're E'ing, you can just press your R when you're spinning at any time if they are at the appropriate damage threshold before they get away, before they flash away, before they use some mobility away. Sometimes it's just good to cancel your E out when you know you have a guaranteed kill, because it's not really, you don't really need the, it's a lot more important to get the kill than just do a little bit more damage on your E. And then next up, you can also W when you're E'ing to ensure that you are going to be staying on top of them, again because it's giving you tenacity, and you're going to be taking a lot less damage. So make sure to use these cancels. Again, it's the auto into Q cancel, the when you're E'ing you can R, and then when you're E'ing you can also W. And sometimes if you need a little bit of a burst damage when you're E'ing and your Q's coming up, you can cancel your E into the Q, and that's going to be a little bit more bursty than the consistent damage that your E is putting down. So keep those things in mind when you are playing Garen. You don't want to just be being very telegraphed in everything you want to do and just always E out the entire duration. So keep those in mind. And if you guys have any comments about my tips, I always encourage you guys to comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and that will wrap up number 2. Alright, and jumping into the next tip, I want to talk about, in my opinion, the single most important ability in your laning phase, and its usage really dictates the trades and what's going to be going on. As someone that plays a crap load of top lane, I see a lot of Garens, I see a lot of Garen matchups, and the number one thing I look to take advantage of is when they're using their W. If I can bait out a W from the Garen without using most of my all-in combo, by maybe just even doing something as simple as auto attacking, I know that I'm pretty much going to win that lane, because the Garen doesn't really have a good understanding and grasp of his kit. This is such an insane just on-use ability that isn't an ultimate, giving you 60% less damage at the ability to win trades is just so one-sided when you have that kind of damage reduction and that kind of just that kind of tenacity to chase people down. So what I personally do when I look to fight a Garen is I look to bait out his W. and it's a relatively long cooldown, and then try and do an all-in after that and burst him down after that, because he won't have any defensives. He'll just be trying to spin on top of me, and he only has damage outside of that. So really look to use your W at the perfect timing, whether this be a Fizz ult coming in on you and it's about to explode up, that's a great time, or if a Zed just popped his death mark on you and he's looking to do his damage that is going to be getting amplified, that's when you want to press your W. Another great use for your W is going to be to bait in team fights when it looks like you're going to be caught, but you just reduce all of their bursts, and you're just a really tanky frontliner and you can get away. Sometimes you can force out abilities for just a small cooldown. You can force out a couple ults and get away. So really don't use this ability nilly-willy. This is just going to this is the easiest way to punish Garen is around his W cooldown. So don't be one of those Garens that is just Q running at someone and pressing W just because you want to get to them close sooner. Really look to use it at the best time possible. And that will wrap up this tip. Let me know if you guys have any other thoughts on the W. I think that's kind of what you guys really need to be focusing on with the W, but if you guys have any other opinions, let me know in the comments down below. Alright, and jumping into number 4, I think this is a really big part of Garen's kit that I think is a little bit underutilized by some of the Garen players that I see, at least in my ranks. With your passive, you're able to take extremely poor trades and then just regen up a lot of your health, and you're gonna have a very simple trading pattern. This is one of the reasons I like recommending Garen, where you're just going to walk up to the target, you can auto Q and then E and then W when they burst, and it's going to be a super simple trade. You're going to know how much damage you're going to take from that trade, and you're going to know generally how much damage you're going to do in that trade. So look to take as many trades as possible and then back off a bit and let your passive do a bit of healing, and then also you can go something like Second Wind, and something you could have a Doran Shield, so you're going to have even more regen. So look to take advantage of this part of the kit. You should be looking at it as like almost another like ability almost, because you're going to this is going to enable you to bully your laners so much, particularly when they're a champion with mana too. If you can just get them to dump a shitload of mana into you, and then obviously you're going to get chunked out a bit, but then you're going to be able to just back up, be in the lane, be in the bush, and just regen a shitload of that back, and then you're going to force them out of lane. This is how Garen's going to be able to create a huge CS lead, because he's able to consistently stay in the lane, and also an experience lead. So this obviously scales with the further you level up as well. So it's going to be just an amazing ability, and one of the things that makes Garen a very forgiving champion. So make sure to take advantage of this. If you guys have any special tricks with the regen and taking poor trades, let me know. I've heard of some people running like a couple rejuve beads and not even getting like a starting item, just because this is such a great way to play Garen, by just taking poor trades, backing off, regenning, taking another poor trade, and eventually poking them out of lane and getting a CS and getting a lead out of that. You don't even have to get a kill lead. So yeah, that will wrap up number 4. If you guys have any comments for me, let me know down below. Alright, and jumping into the last tip, I think one of the most difficult things about playing Garen, strangely enough, because he has such a simple kit, there isn't really much mechanics you need to be good at to make Garen a good champion. I think one of the most important things is knowing how to build Garen in particular circumstances. You should never be building the same thing over and over again. You could have a branching tree when you get ahead. You want to look into things like Triforce if you want to look to split push, or if you want to go like super aggressive and you really think you can dominate a lane, you can go in early like Youmuu's or something like that. Or if you're maybe going even or a little bit behind, you want to go something like Black Cleaver. But you never want to build the same thing over and over again. If you're able to split push in a really great you have a really advantageous matchup in the top lane. You want to emphasize that lead. You might want to go into things like Triforce and Hysterics, and then even something like a, what is that, the ZZ Rot portal is going to help you take a lot of towers. And a great part of Garen being able to split push is he's able to get away very easily with his Q movement speed and his reduction to crowd control from his W, and usually he goes movement speed of items. So what you really want to do, just kind of as a base formula I want to give you guys, is if you're ahead, you want to build a little bit more offensive, but still a bit bruisery with things like Triforce, Hysterics, so you can split push. If you're behind, you want to go pretty tanky with maybe one damage item in Black Cleaver. And when you're just absolutely getting stomped, you can go something like just Sunfire, just to kind of prevent, just to stop the bleeding of you getting killed as much as possible. So look to adapt to the situation. If they have a shitload of magic damage from things, you can go something like Spirit Visage or Adaptive. If they have a lot of reoccurring magic damage from things like Heimerdinger, things like Cassiopeia, things like Brand, Adaptive's going to be a great choice. And if they have a very heavy burst team, you can go something like Hysterics to kind of protect yourself from that burst comp. Yeah, so I just want to get across to you, you guys should probably check out pro builds as well to see how different pros kind of approach different game states, because they should never be building the same thing just over and over again with Garen. It's kind of like that old quote where like insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So what we want to do here is we want to be adaptive to the situation. We want to emphasize our strengths, cover up our weaknesses, and to just be the best Garen that we can be. If you guys have any specific build questions for me, please let me know. I am really interactive with my community. If you have any questions for me as well, I'm going to put a link to my Discord in the description if you want to have like a live chat about it. I love talking Garen because usually people that play Garen, they're pretty serious about climbing and learning the game, so I really like talking to those kind of people. That will wrap up the video. If you guys enjoyed the content, please remember to like and subscribe. I'm just an educational channel basically that I'm just trying to help you guys out with climbing. I'm trying to build a community of people that can hopefully duo queue with each other and to kind of help each other out with the climb, and it's been awesome so far. I'm finally gonna get out my 1K subscriber special. I know it's taken a while. I think I'm almost at 1,400 subs now, so I'm gonna get that out, and we're gonna start talking a little bit about kind of what it is behind my channel name and kind of some future things that I want to do. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, stay tuned. And yeah, that's gonna wrap up the video. You guys take it easy.